Okay? That's my position. Fuck Jim Acosta and everyone who sticks up for him. There's one thing above everything else that you absolutely need to take away from this whole Jim Acosta thing. And it's that people like Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, the cast from The View, the Young Turks, and David Pakman, they're all lying to you. And I know you're probably sick of this by now, but this is the red pill moment for so many people. This is what people have to see. There's people that are blatantly propagating fake news in order to manipulate your mind and manipulate your empathy to fulfill their agenda. After watching this video, the choice is yours. You can either continue to be a slave of thought, or you can free your mind from this literal tyranny of your free will of thought. You know, and millions of people are just going to continue to tune in and get their daily dose of bullshit lies from the corporate media and all their little pawns on these late night TV shows, or you can free yourself from it. For some people, I hope this is your red pill moment. Right in your face, they're lying to you. You could see it with your own eyes. One thing is happening, and they're telling you something else is happening. So it's up to you. Whether you want to continue to do it, that's up to you. But we're at the breaking point. So we're going to look at what actually happened. We're going to look at reality versus what the fake news is trying to convince you of.
I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings
Let me ask,
much better.
if I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask
Peter,
one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President,
that's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
All right, so he's been told that enough is enough. I don't know how many times. There's other people with their hands up. Trump's got to mediate this and move it along. Jim Acosta should just give up the mic when the girl comes over for it, right? That's what he should do. But he doesn't do that because he's an asshole. That's what he is, all right? He's an asshole, okay? I said it. So the intern comes over. She reaches with her right. He kind of dodges her a little by leaning back and kind of like protecting the microphone a little bit. Like he leans away, right? Oh, President, Mr. President, Mr. President. Shut the fuck up, Jim. Give up the microphone. Your time is up. Look, the intern right here is looking back at the president like, what do I do? He won't give up the mic. What do I do? He's hogging the mic. He's being a ball hog. What do I do? Do I get it? Do I get it? Yes. Yes, you get it. All right, so she goes again for it, and now he blocks her physically. That's while the president is telling him enough. So she's looking around like, can you believe this? Now she goes for it, right? She almost gave him a little head fake. Now, when she reaches with her left hand, Acosta tries to push her arm away, but her arm doesn't move because she has a firm grip on the microphone. So it kind of gets stuck, all right? Because Jim Acosta's a bitch. He can't even move the intern's arm away with his arm. Can't even break her grip. Should be ashamed of himself for not being able to push her arm away. But she's tough. She's strong. She had the mic. She had the mic. She wouldn't move her arm. And he tried to push it away, and it didn't work. And he got busted. He got busted doing it. I wish her arm would have moved. I wish her arm would have moved away because it would have looked worse. The optics would have been worse for it because it would have been like him pushing her arm away. You know, like pushing her arm away. They would have went nuts. But she had a firm grip. And I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you right here. Here's the moment no one's talking about. He pushes her arm down so hard that she actually loses her balance. She comes forward a little bit. She takes like a jab step with her left leg because the force of her arm going down brought her body forward. All right? You could see it. All right? And now right here, he realized this is his oh shit moment. Okay? This is where there's eye contact between him and her. He realizes here he's in a room full of people and she looked at him. They make eye contact here. If you notice, the whole time before, she's focused on the microphone. That's all she's looking at is the mic. What do I do? I'm doing my job, doing my job. She's almost like robotically doing her job. But once Jim Acosta does that, she breaks that and looks in his eyes. They make eye contact, okay? Because she was basically pushed, but pulled, kind of. She was pulled. She wasn't pushed. It's weird to say, but that's what happened. This is his oh shit moment. Now, I'm in a room full of people. I can't say, what am I going to say now? I might as well just go to the, excuse me, miss, right? The proper thing to do, excuse me, miss, in front of a room full of people. Because he copped out. Instead of being like, get the fuck off my microphone, he says, excuse me, miss, because he's busted, he's caught. Every man who's ever pissed a woman off knows that look right there. She broke her mission to look at him in his eyes. Right? And she looks back at the president like, what do you want me to do? Call security? He won't give up the microphone. This is why Jim Acosta should have lost his hall pass, because he's obnoxious. He's hijacking the press conference, and he's grandstanding in front of all these people who are waiting to have their questions answered by the president, and he won't give up the microphone. She tried to get it from him 3 times. The president said enough, like 7 times. The other guy who the president is going to is standing up, waiting for his question to be answered. So, we're gonna go into it. We're gonna see what all these other fake news outlets are putting out. Then they're gonna say that the Sarah Huckabee Sanders put out a doctored video when it wasn't doctored. It was Paul Joseph Watson put out a video from InfoWars, and what he did was he posted it to Twitter, I think, or something, and it was an image file. Okay, all he did was zoom in, and I think they repeated the part where Jim Acosta's arm goes down on her arm. They didn't doctor it, right? But they said they doctored it. And all these news outlets came out, and in synchronicity, they came out and said, doctored, 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 doctored. It was Jimmy Kimmel, it was Stephen Colbert, it was The View, it was CNN, it was David Pakman, it was the Young Turks, it was everybody came out and said the same thing about it. Literally word for word. It was doctored. They put out a doctored video. War on the media, war on the press. It's talking points. It's all bullshit. And anyone who still believes it, anyone who still follows it, you're gone. You're lost. You're less than conscious because you're just like an NPC, non-player character, pre-programmed fool who just can't break out of the matrix. But I'm hoping that there's still something in you that makes you break out of it. Okay? Maybe if you see it with your own eyes, you'll break out of what Jimmy Kimmel's telling you to believe. She leans down, she looks around, she's like, is anyone else seeing this? And he's still going, Russia investigation, Russia investigation, Russia. No, listen, I'm not concerned, the president says, because it's bullshit. It's nonsense. The same people who are faking that shit are faking other things with the dossier, with the fake voting, the voting thing in Florida. It's all a bunch of bullshit. Mr. President, and then he's like, oh shit, I screwed up when the president walks away from the podium. He's like, I screwed up. He knows what he did. And then she gets the mic and gives it to the next guy. And every other person in the interview, when their interview is up, they give the mic to the girl gives it to the next guy. That's what Acosta should have did. What I say, fuck Jim Acosta. Okay? That's my position. Fuck Jim Acosta. And everyone who sticks up for him.
A doctored video clip.
Sarah Sanders tweeted a doctored video.
The White House press office also put out a doctored version of the video. Doctored.
You are fake news.
Comparison of the doctored video with the original. It looks virtually identical.
The taped video of Acosta? What are you talking about? All that was, nobody manipulated it. Give me a break. See, that's just dishonest reporting. All that is a close-up. See, that is just dishonest reporting. I watched that. I heard that last night. They made it close up. They showed it close up. When you say doctor, you're a dishonest guy because it wasn't doctored. They gave a close-up view. That's not doctoring.
Feels pretty good when the President of the United States has your back. Doctoring, the act of making different in order to deceive, tamper with, falsify, or adulterate. Converting and processing a video isn't tampering or falsifying. That's not doctoring.
That's not doctoring.
This is doctoring.
They sped up Jim Acosta's hand movement to make it look more violent.
You're a liar, and you will spend an eternity on this shit.
Yeah, here's the screenshot from the edit in Sony Vegas, proving it was not sped up. If it was sped up, there'd be wavy lines in the track. They're on. Because it wasn't sped up.
And you see, like, it sped up his hand.
Yeah, I sped up his hand so much that literally 2 minutes before you said that, you played a clip where his hand moved even quicker, but I sped it up. Okay, New York Times. The video was sped up. BuzzFeed. There's no evidence that the video was deliberately sped up.
Give me a...
Cool. Does anything here look like it was done to tamper, falsify, or adulterate? No, because it wasn't doctored.
That's not doctoring.
Elizabeth Loftus says the videos are, quote, totally different. Really? Watch the comparison again. Do these two videos look totally different to you? Or is Elizabeth Loftus a liar?
The part where he says, "Pardon me, ma'am," they cut the audio out.
Yeah, there's no audio in the entire clip, Jimmy, because the original was a GIF image. And GIF images don't have audio, because it's not a video file, it's an image file.
That's not doctoring.
Jim Acosta clearly never touched that White House intern. That's just a lie.
Yes, he did touch her. It's right there on tape. The tape that you literally just played.
You know, I didn't put my hands on her or touch her, as they're alleging.
Definition of touch: come into or be in contact with. Did Jim Acosta touch her?
I didn't put my hands on her or touch her. I didn't put my hands on her or touch her. I didn't put my hands on her or touch her.
But people watching Wednesday night's edition of Anderson Cooper wouldn't know whether Acosta touched her or not, because they didn't play the part where Acosta touched her. So I'm the one being accused of editing a video to mislead. Then CNN takes the very same video and edits out the part where he touches her. The only thing being doctored here is your narrative.
Jim Acosta clearly never touched that White House intern. That's just a lie. That's just a lie. That's just a lie. That's just a lie. To discredit a reputable journalist, she's the White House press secretary. She should be fired.
You a damn
for that.
Yeah, you literally just lied to millions of people about the content of a videotape.
That's just a lie.
Now you're saying Sarah Sanders should be fired for lying about the content of a videotape, which she didn't. You should be fired. Remember, these are the same mouthpieces that spent weeks claiming Brett Kavanaugh assaulted a woman. Yet when there's clear evidence of Jim Acosta at least accosting a woman, they all suddenly develop temporary blindness.
Jim Acosta clearly never touched that White House intern.
That is terrible. Or it would be if it weren't fake news. The fact that the White House press secretary is promoting this doctored video is reprehensible.
You're a liar.
Yeah, it's so doctored, Stephen. You literally played the same clip 2 minutes before saying this. Again, it's not doctored. It lost a couple of frames after conversion and compression. That's not doctoring.
That's not doctoring.
It's zoomed in and slowed down. Every single one of your lamestream fucking media firms at some point or another has aired a story where they've done this. That is not doctoring. It's not misrepresenting the fundamental content of the video. It's simply focusing on the important element of that video and slowing it down so people can get a better idea of what happened. That's not film doctoring.
Oh, and what's this? First, Vice reports that it's a doctored video. Then they talk to two separate forensic experts who say it's not doctored. Forensic expert. There is no evidence the White House video of Jim Acosta was doctored. Hani Farid, who studies digital forensics, human perception, and image analysis at the University of California, Berkeley, told Motherboard, which is Vice, that he does not think the video was doctored, though he agreed that the entire video was, of course, slowed down and zoomed in to focus on the moment of physical contact. He does not see any evidence to suggest that it was selectively edited to exaggerate Acosta's motion. Because, again, it's not doctored.
That's not doctoring.
I can't speak to the origin of the video except to say I know where it started. It started right in that room over there when everyone saw it. It doesn't matter who puts it up, who posts it. It doesn't matter the speed at which the video is seen. It doesn't matter the angle. The question is, at the core of this, and this is why Jim Acosta lost his credential. Did he touch her or not? The video is clear he did.
He did.
Donald Trump Jr. So are we just supposed to act like the media didn't completely make up and spread an insane conspiracy theory about the White House doctoring a tape? How's that disappear from the news so fast? We've truly entered some kind of delusional dystopia when, to distract from Acosta's behavior, the media launches a giant hoax claiming, one, that Acosta never touched her when he clearly did, and two, that a video which loses a couple of frames or has frames added because of compression, they can't even make their minds up which it is, means that it was a doctored video.
That's not doctoring.
It wasn't a doctored video. They call me a conspiracy theorist while themselves promulgating a monumental conspiracy theory. CNN, Washington Post, TechCrunch, Vox, New York Times, NBC, and hundreds of other publications, all breathlessly asserted, with zero fact-checking whatsoever, and none of them even reached out to me for comment, that I, the White House, or someone else had doctored a video that wasn't doctored, just so they could portray Trump as deceitful and rash for suspending Acosta's press access. The only deceitful and rash parties in this entire situation were you. You literally claimed Acosta never touched her, when it's right there on tape.
Jim Acosta clearly never touched that White House intern. That's just a lie. That's just a lie. That's just a lie. That's just a lie.
I didn't put my hands on her or touch her. I didn't put my hands on her or touch her. I didn't put my hands on her or touch her.
Why do you think your trust is plummeting? Why do you think people don't like you when this is what you're willing to stoop to time and time again? The tape wasn't doctored. The tape wasn't misleading. I didn't manipulate it. The only manipulation here was you lot lying to and manipulating your own audience.
I think what's terrible is that the White House, through the press secretary, sent out an edited, doctored video, fast-forwarding what we just saw, that tried to imply that he assaulted her. So that's coming from the White House, and that's really despicable.
You a damn fool.
Now, when you look at the clip, is that inappropriate touching?
It seems like he's just pulling the mic. We're living in such a polarized world. It is so polarized today.
When we know when someone is accused of assault, that's a very loaded word.
And that's what the White House is accusing
I'm asking.
Jim Acosta.
Did that?
I was reading Peter Baker in the New York Times, and I agree with this position that that Trump set this up himself.
You a damn fool.
Did he really touch her? I thought he just took his mic back.
The way I just thought he pushed her arm away.
Yeah.
And again, I don't
By the way,
like
there are
that.
edited videos now that are out there. By the way, there are edited videos now that are out there.
So he's pushing it down.
He's blocking her. He's not actually doing it. He's blocking.
I do not like people touching me in general. I don't think, especially a man in a situation
she
like
shouldn't
that.
have touched him, maybe.
And that's where I came down.
Sorry, go ahead. If this were a Daily Caller reporter, I want you to reverse this. As an Obama press conference and a Daily Caller reporter doing this, I think there are a lot of people on the left that would be saying that it's inappropriate for them to be acting that way. And I agree, Jim Acosta is always the story. He's always the story. I'm sick of him being the story. I'm sick of talking about Jim Acosta. And in that moment, I thought that he was grandstanding. And I want to just have questions answered about the caravan in a way where the president could at least have his feet held to the fire about what's going on without Jim Acosta continuing being in the headlines.
For me, when I saw that, I learned very early on that what I saw was a battery, not by Jim Acosta, but by the young White House aide.
You're a liar.
Yeah. When you are holding something, if I may, if you're holding something and you snatch this from me, this cup is now an extension of me. And that means you've battered me.
You're a liar.
You've assaulted me.
So you're blaming the woman in this situation.
You're blaming the woman's fault for doing her job.
But that's just the law.
She was so good.
I'm telling you that
you better arrest her. So
but wait a second. Why are we talking about Jim Acosta?
Because he made himself the story.
Trump thinks that he can be higher people who are in the press.
War on the media. War on the press.
They're a little crunchy.
But Trump gets uncomfortable and very defensive when he gets called out on his lies. That caravan is not an invasion. We've known about this caravan for a while now. They're planning on going through a port of entry and going through the process for seeking asylum in the United States. Trump keeps saying, oh, they got to follow the law. There's a process. They got to go through the process. That's exactly what they're trying to do.
You a damn fool.
Doing there. I'm not having a debate about whether Jim Acosta is doing the right thing. The reporters are not supposed to ask friendly questions of the government. That's not a thing. That's not a job. Okay, that's what you do in dictatorships. Oh, hey, look, we have a reporter, and he's asked me about why my policies are so great. No, they're supposed to be watchdogs of the government, whether it's a Republican or a Democratic president. By the way, they should have done a better job of that under Obama and Bush, right? I'm glad they're at least doing it now. It's not a debatable question.
Yeah, and by the way, if Trump could have his way, they wouldn't even ask questions. They would just gather, and one by one, they would compliment him.
They're a little crunchy.
But with no question, because a question means that he'd have to think for a second to answer it. But let's go to the second part of their interaction.
Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Mr. President, over the course of the last... This is WWE, man. I mean, this is total, Jimmy Snuka versus Rowdy Piper. So, look, Acosta's asking legitimate questions. The only legitimate question as to Acosta's actions is there's a lot of reporters in the room. Should he have given up the mic earlier? Because they all have to ask questions. Okay, that's a fine question. But his tone, his aggressiveness, they all should be equally aggressive. They shouldn't let him get away with that stuff. He just called the press the enemy of the people again.
Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, CNN does a lot. You are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Why do they have to be conciliatory to him when he calls them the enemy of the people?
Fake news.
So
and they still call him Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President. It drives me crazy. I get it. This is just the way they operate. This is the way they refer to the president as they're asking questions. But even while Trump consistently attacks them, goes after them, they never insult him. They never insult him.
Give me a break.
They never go after him. They ask him questions, and they still try to do it in a respectful way. And he called him a rude person, which is hilarious.
Come on. Okay.
A terrible person. You're a terrible person. You're a rude person.
A rude, terrible person. Do you know anyone more rude in politics than Donald Trump?
They never insult him.
I mean, he said to Megyn Kelly, you're bleeding from wherever. I mean, we're having a conversation about who's a rude and terrible person. The most disturbing part of that is, you shouldn't be working for CNN. See, that's the government trying to intimidate the press.
War on the media, war on the press.
Of course, Trump has never read the Constitution. If he had, he might have noticed in the First Amendment, it says there's freedom of the press. And so that's him trying to intimidate them. Luckily, CNN didn't go for it, and they backed Acosta.
Fuck Jim Acosta.
And I want to also reiterate that those who cry the loudest are those on the right. Terrible Freudian slip.
You a damn fool.
No, but seriously, how many times are we going to hear Trump cry about the media being unfair to him? Every day. That's all we hear from him. Oh, the media in the back. Oh, they won't report. Look at how big my crowd sizes are, but they won't report it. Oh, enemy of the people. They're so unfair to me. Oh, they're so hostile.
Give me a break.
Just relax. You are literally the most powerful person on this planet, and all you do is cry. I mean, he's so egotistical and so thin-skinned. They never insult him. And then Republicans or conservatives will turn around and point to people like us and be like, you guys are the snowflake.
He's President Snowflake. Okay. Didn't they have President Snow in the Hunger Games or something? Yeah, but that's what he is. Look, they think Acosta's tough on him. So that's why they don't let us to the White House press room, because we'd ask questions loaded with facts and ask him to explain his inconsistencies and lies. And when he complained about it, my follow-up question would be, are you still crying?
See, that is just dishonest reporting.
Totally.
Okay.
Totally.
And what do you think he would do? Because he's a bully, right?
They never insult him.
Bullies
he would continue crying.
That's right. He's deeply insecure, as all bullies are.
They never insult him.
So the minute that you goad him in the same way, he'd be like, and then he'd look for a safe space somewhere.
I would love Just one opportunity. I know that I'd be kicked out and I'd never be allowed in there again, but just one opportunity to be in that press room, because I would handle it differently from Jim Acosta. He handled it like a professional. I would not.
Give me a break.
Okay? I would immediately respond to him with first of all, the truth. Why are you crying is definitely something that I would ask. But more importantly, I would ask him, how are you calling me rude when you have called other countries S-hole countries, when you have talked about Megyn Kelly bleeding from wherever? You are a rude person.
Fuck Jim Acosta.
You went ahead and did apologetic press conferences for white supremacists who murdered an anti-white supremacist protester.
You're a liar.
You're the rude person. You're the terrible person.
But that's not unprofessional, Anna. They should all be like that. No, that's aggressive watchdog journalism is something we have missed in this country for a long, long time. When you get a little taste of it with Jim Acosta, a lot of people are like, whoa, wait, is that out of bounds? No, he's the only one in bounds. It's a perfectly good question to ask him. Mr. President, when you said that there were good people on both sides, could you name us the one person who you thought was a good person chanting, "The Jews will not replace us"?
Jim Acosta clearly never touched that White House intern. That's just a lie. That's just a lie. That's just a lie. That's just a lie. To discredit a reputable journalist, she's the White House press secretary. She should be fired.
That is a perfect question. I don't even think that's even close to unprofessional. But I would get unprofessional.
The only manipulation here was you lot lying to and manipulating your own audience.
I don't know exactly how, but it would happen because I can't stand there and call him Mr. President while he's calling me the enemy of the people.
Fake news.
While he's directing violence in my direction, which he does toward the media all the time.
War on the media, war on the press.
Simply because they do their jobs and they hold him accountable, kind of.
Yeah, last thing is, look, guys, you don't let him normalize outrageous things like calling the press the enemy of the people and directing violence towards you. So, yes, your questions should be increasingly more aggressive, not less aggressive.
Donald Trump was asked about how he now calls himself a nationalist, and he said, "That's a racist question."
You're a liar.
What that means, I couldn't tell you. He was particularly hostile to non-white members of the press.
You're a liar.
But the moment that's getting the most attention is when CNN's Jim Acosta asked a reasonably firm question, and Donald Trump started scolding him. A White House intern, as she's now being described, tried physically taking the microphone from Jim Acosta, and now the White House has decided to pull Jim Acosta's press credential, and they are claiming that they're doing it because Jim Acosta hit the White House intern. He laid hands on the White House intern, depending on which statement you look at, all of a sudden pretending that they're concerned about violence and aggression against women, which is just the most laughable thing in the world. So
you're a liar.
This sort of entanglement of arms that takes place, which the Trump administration is now claiming was Jim Acosta laying hands on a woman.
Fuck Jim Acosta.
And what you may have noticed is that in the midst of all this, when this White House intern is trying to physically remove the microphone from Jim Acosta, he actually says, "Pardon me, ma'am." And his hand sort of gets entangled with hers as she enters his personal space to rip the mic away, and he has the microphone in his right hand, and his left hand gets entangled with her.
You a damn fool.
So already, just on the basis of this attack against Jim Acosta,
Fuck Jim Acosta.
This should be perceived as an attack on all media, and every single person in that press corps should be in total solidarity with Jim Acosta.
War on the media, war on the press.
That's number one. These attacks on the press must stop. But then hours later, Trump's just persistently dishonest press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, went on Twitter and announced that the Trump administration is banning Jim Acosta from the press corps because he hit a woman. Okay? She said, President Trump believes in a free press and expects and welcomes tough questions of him and his administration. We will, however, never tolerate a reporter placing his hands on a young woman just trying to do her job as a White House intern. They are saying that the problem is that Acosta touched the woman when clearly she approached a full-grown man and respected member of the press corps, tried to physically and forcibly remove the microphone from his hands, and he said, "Pardon me, ma'am," when their hands got tangled up.
Instead of being like, "Get the fuck off my microphone," he says, "Excuse me, miss," because he's busted, he's caught. Every man who's ever pissed a woman off knows that look right there.
Not exactly a sign of aggression, and the most hypocritical part of this, Pat, is that they never cared about this issue, and now they're using it to suppress speech.
War on the media, war on the press.
And they are partially defending this using a video that has been reportedly been doctored.
A doctored video clip.
Sarah Sanders tweeted a doctored video.
The White House press office also put out a doctored version of the video.
Doctored. You are fake news.
And the video, it's not clear if it was created or spread by someone associated with Alex Jones's InfoWars. I don't even know that I have to name the guy because he's so toxic.
The only manipulation here was you lot lying to and manipulating your own audience.
And then the moment that the arm tangle happens, the video goes way faster to comparatively appear as a karate chop.
It's zoomed in and slowed down. Every single one of your lamestream fucking media firms at some point or another has aired a story where they've done this. That is not doctoring. It's not misrepresenting the fundamental content of the video. It's simply focusing on the important element of that video and slowing it down so people can get a better idea of what happened. That's not film doctoring.
Which is literally what they have been calling it on Twitter, saying that Jim Acosta karate chopped the White House intern.
You're a liar.
This is literal fake news.
They call me a conspiracy theorist while themselves promulgating a monumental conspiracy theory.
And importantly, they removed the sound so that you can't hear him say, "Pardon me, ma'am," as the tangle happens, because of course that's also not the language of an aggressive wife beater, which is what this edited version of the video is supposed to imply.
The part where he says, "Pardon me, ma'am," they cut the audio out.
Yeah, there's no audio in the entire clip, Jimmy, because the original was a GIF image. And GIF images don't have audio because it's not a video file, it's an image file.
That's not doctoring. Jim Acosta.
Fuck Jim Acosta.
And this subtle editing of the Acosta video, by speeding up ever so slightly that particular moment, is calculated to increase the rage. It has now been watched 100,000 times or more. And the fact that it was doctored doesn't even matter. People see the video as validating what happened as per Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Doesn't matter if the video's been edited, it's now part of the distorted narrative. And for all we know, this entire thing was pre-planned, given how the intern started inching closer and closer and closer.
I was reading Peter Baker in the New York Times, and I agree with this position, that that Trump set this up himself.
Fake news.
To Jim Acosta, as he was asking questions, looking at Trump for some kind of signal or approval to go and try to physically grab the mic. These aren't protesters at a rally, right? Jim Acosta is a member of the press corps speaking to the President of the United States. If they lie about this, they will lie about anything. We know that they will lie about anything. They are using all of this, the firing of Sessions, getting Jim Acosta out of there, not answering questions in a serious way about the Trump-Russia investigation. It is all meant to end the investigation, and they are going beyond what we've seen so far. And in the end, this is a horrible attack on the press.
War on the media, war on the press.
But it is also a distraction from the more aggressive methods being used to stop the Trump-Russia investigation.
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.